Hey guys, it's Jessica from Peace Love Books, and same here with my February TBR. I'm so excited it's February. I feel like January has been the longest month of my life, but I have so many fun reading plans, some from authors that I read this month and really loved, some from new authors, and I just have a lot of reading plans, so I'm gonna go ahead and get to it. Lots on audio, Kindle Unlimited, and then a stack right here of paperbacks. So I am going to the Music City with the Bell signing at the end of February, so I have a couple authors I really want to read for that signing, which I will get to, but the first book I want to read is for the Historical Hellions book club I run with Samantha. From Books with Samantha, we are reading Ice and Rapture by Connie Mason, and that cover is so pretty. I really love it, and this one says that the heroine is actually a newspaper woman, which I don't know if I've read a historical romance with that before. I think he's supposed to take her to the Yukon to report on the Klondike Gold Rush, but he doesn't, and they are stuck in the frozen wilderness together. I just filmed my forced proximity romance video and talked about how much I love cold forced proximity romances. This is what that sounds like, so I'm very excited to be reading this for our book club. The next two books are ones I want to read because these authors are going to be at the signing I'm going to. So we have Ignite by Melanie Harlow. This one is a single dad firefighter romance. I believe they're neighbors as well, and I'm really excited to read this. I didn't love Irresistible, which is the first book in this series, but I believe this is like the next generation, and I've heard amazing things about this, so that's why I really want to read this, and I got it in paperback because I have that high of hopes for this. I also want to read Blame It on the Champagne by Fiona Cole. Fiona Cole's going to be there. I've read her Voyeur series, a couple books in there, and it's okay. I've had a hit and a miss, so I'm nervous to read more in that series, but this one's the first in her other series where it's a marriage of convenience, and I believe it's with her boss. So we love a good waking up married to someone, so I hope I love this one. Then I have a book that comes out in February. I actually have to take this postcard out, but this is Tattered Stars by Catherine Cowles. This is the first book in a new series, and it comes out in February, and it is about these two people who have a really not so great past. I don't know what happened, but something happened, and one of them left, and the other one hates them now, and the girl is back in town though, and I believe it's romantic suspense as well. I saw somewhere it has to do with cults. So I'm very intrigued. I am excited to read more with Catherine Cowles. I'm actually listening to an audiobook of hers right now, and I'm enjoying it. I've only read one other book, but I hope I love this one, and the cover is just gorgeous. Then I really want to read The Love Con. This one is a fake dating cosplay romance, and so our heroine, I think, is in this competition, and they really want everybody to do a cosplay with their significant other. She asks her best friend to pose as her significant other and do it, and they fall for each other. I'm really excited because it's not only fake dating, but it's fake dating best friend. And that's right up my alley. The next four I want to read for Pharaoh Feb, which is all month of February, is celebrating fantasy romance, and it's started by this one author, and she reached out and asked me to join, and so I am. So I am interviewing Amanda Boucher for the celebration, and then I'm doing reading sprints on, I think, February 10th, and the readathon is 1 week in that month, so it's dedicated to reading fantasy romance. So I do have tentatively 4 fantasy romances on my TBR. I'll probably add more, but these are 4 that I'm really excited for. So the first one I talked about in my recent book haul, which is The Blacksmith Queen by J.A. Aiken. I don't know a lot about this. I'm horrible at reading fantasy romance synopses and like understanding what they're about. I just know that she's a blacksmith and someone's a queen. I don't think it's her though, but I don't know, maybe she becomes a queen. I don't know, but I've heard great things about this author, so I'm excited to read this, and it's pretty short. It's like not too intimidating. It's just under 300 pages. I also was just watching Crystal's video of her fantasy romance recommendations, and she talked about A Touch of Stone and Snow by Milla Vane. I read the first book and I really loved it, and Crystal loves this one, and I still have not read it yet, and I don't know much about this plot. Ooh, so the heroine actually leads an army, and she's the only survivor of this huge massacre that happened, and so she's called a coward and a deserter, and she's shunned from her home. So she's wandering around in solitude, and she encounters a group of warriors who are seeking new alliances, and that includes our hero, who is a prince who sent her into exile. And they were childhood friends. Okay, this sounds so good. I'm so excited to read this, and definitely at the top of my TBR for Pharaoh Feb. Another one that Crystal talked about, which I'm really excited to read, is Promise of Darkness by Beck McMasters. This one, I also don't know. I think they are forced to get married even though they are enemies. So she is a ruthless queen, and she's determined to destroy her nemesis, the Cursed Prince, and there's a war brewing between them. He's gonna send one of her daughters to his court as a hostage, and oh, I think like the daughter is the one that might fall for him. Maybe they're not supposed to get married. She's sent to like end the war before it begins. So I don't know if she's sent to kill him. I don't know. So it's the queen and the prince who hate each other. So she sends her daughter to him. Maybe I'll like it. The last one's been on my shelves for way too long, and that is A Fate of Wrath and Flame by K.A. Tucker. I love K.A. Tucker's contemporaries, so I'm excited to see her try her hand at fantasy, but I don't know what this is about. The cover's super pretty. So this one is about Romeria. She grew up on the streets and she thrives stealing jewels, and she has to steal a stone from someone's sacred garden without anyone discovering her true identity. She's the enemy of this kingdom that she was supposed to marry the prince. Again, their synopses are very hard to understand, and I can't tell if she's actually the princess. I don't know, but we'll see. I'm excited. Those are all the physical books I want to read, so I'll go ahead and get to the audio and ebooks. The first one is The Wrong Heart by Jennifer Hartman. I am dying to read more Jennifer Hartman after reading Still Beating. This one, our heroine, I believe, loses her husband, and he donates his organs, and so she decides to track down the guy who has her husband's heart. And I think then they meet in a suicide support group. Manda from Ginger Snapped Reads was talking about this in her latest video where she talked about dark romances, so I was very intrigued, and this is definitely the next one I want to read by this author, and I got it off of Kindle Unlimited. I also really had to read Second Semester by QB Tyler. This one is the second book in her Campus Tales series, and it is the sister of the heroine for book one. I believe it's an office romance, and it's someone like a lot older than her, and I believe he knows / works with her father. So, love the taboo. Nobody does taboo more than QB Tyler, so I'm definitely going to read this. Then I have Left for Wild by Harlow Ray. Harlow Ray is going to be at that signing, and it's a winter snowy romance, and the hero was in jail for 10 years for something he didn't do, but he's finally let out, but he is like still on a tight leash that he's out because they still think he's guilty. And something happens with our heroine, and they get stuck together. That's all I know. I was trying to figure out more about the plot, but I was like, I can't understand this. So I am just going to go in and hope for the best, and I just really love this cover too, so I'm excited to read it. Next is also a fantasy reverse harem, and it's Six of a Soul. I think I saw it on TikTok, and it really intrigued me, and it is a also time-traveling reverse harem fantasy romance. That was enough to sell me, so I'm excited. I also really want to read the novella Always Been You by QB Tyler because she's going to turn this into her full-length book, which comes out in a couple months, and so this one is a step-sibling romance, and I believe, or adoptive sibling. It's some kind of sibling romance, but they haven't lived together that long, and it's an age gap romance as well. Michae from What Is Michae loves this novella, so I have high hopes. It's in the Twisted Christmas anthology, but that's going to go away at the end of the month, so I made sure to buy that. It was only 99 cents. I can link that down below if you want it. I need more QB in my life, so I'm excited. Speaking of, I talked about Manda before. She did her dark romance recommendation video, and she talked about Into the Dark by Dana Isley. On TikTok, I made a serial killer romance recommendation, and someone mentioned this, and then I saw it in her video, and I had messaged her about it. It does not have an HEA, I know, but it is a serial killer romance. He's a serial killer, and the heroine, like, really wants someone to be obsessed with her. Like, that is what she desires out of a relationship, so they have a relationship together. And I heard it's really, really, really dark. But I'm in the mood for that, so I want to read it. Twisted Hate by Anna Huang actually comes out like now, around the time I'm posting this video, the 27th, and I'm really excited for it because I really enjoyed book 2 in the series. Book 1 wasn't my favorite. Book 2 I really enjoyed, and so this one is the brother, I believe, of the heroine from book 1, and I believe it's with her best friend. And it says it's dark. I'm gonna read it. So many people have been reading ARCs and loving it, so I hopefully will enjoy this as well. I also really want to read Cherry Bomb by Carmel Rose. This one is by an author that QB Tyler had talked about when I interviewed her on my channel yesterday for the day I'm filming this. If you haven't seen it yet, I'll link that down below. I got to interview QB Tyler, and it was so much fun. But this one is an age gap romance, and she's in college, and he is 38. That's all I got from the synopsis, but I love a good taboo age gap romance, so I downloaded this from Kindle Unlimited, and I'm excited to read it. The last 4 are ones I have on audio, so I have Ravishing the Heiress by Sherry Thomas. So Jenn and Crystal read this for their book club, and this sounds so good. It is that our heroine had a marriage of inconvenience with this guy who's already in love with someone else, and they have not consummated their marriage, but the woman he was in love with is now a widow. And so he's like, perfect timing. I can have her as my mistress and I'll be happy and in love. Well, the heroine's his wife and she's like, but they decide to have a baby before that happens, so they decided to consummate their marriage. It sounds so messy and so good. And now I asked Tori from Novel Life what she thought about it. She said there are a lot of flashbacks and back and forth going on, so I know that going in. I feel like my expectations are way too high, but I really hope I love this book. And then I have Still by Kennedy Ryan. This is book 2 technically in the Grip series, and I read Grip this past month after I had read it like 3 years ago. I finally reread it and I'm ready to dive into the second one. I know it's gonna tear me apart, but I'm excited to finally finish the series. I love Grip and Bristol so much, so I'm really hoping that I love this last book. The last 2 are by Lorraine Heath. I actually get to interview Lorraine Heath at the end of February, which I'm super excited for, and so I hope to read She Tempts the Duke and Lord of Temptation. So She Tempts the Duke, I guess the series is about 3 boys who are all, they're supposed to like inherit titles, and so they end up getting into trouble and having to run away, and now they're back, and she was the one who actually helped him run away, but like ruined things for herself in the process, I guess, and they had promised each other they would meet each other again. So I love Lorraine Heath's book so much, and you know you're gonna get angst, so I have a good feeling about this book. And then the next book is the Lord of Temptation, which I've actually read years and years ago. Can't even tell you what the plot is. I didn't even know I had read this. I read it back in like 2016 or something, and I guess it's a pirate romance. So I am excited for this one. I don't know anything else about the plot, but I gave it 5 stars back when I read it, so that's gotta be good, right? And those are all the books that are on my February TBR. Let me know what you're gonna read this month. I would love to hear, and let me know if you've read any of these and if you're excited for what I'm reading. And that's all I have. As always, thank you so much for watching and have a good day.